Hi guys, welcome. So today I want to talk a little bit about spinal articulation, spinal waves, and the ability to understand our posterior and anterior pelvic tilt, which then links to glute activity, also linking to our cervical spine and the health of our neck. So there's so many things that interlace, and so I have a little exercise for you to try to build awareness in your spine. Now the first part of this is by sitting tall, either if you can on your knees with your toes tucked, maybe you put something under your knees if your knees are sore. If you can't sit, maybe you're going to be in this position, okay? Just to prevent any knee issues that you might have. You're gonna come down into the position. I'm gonna be here on my knees with my toes tucked. From here, what you're going to do is you're firstly going to work the neck. So when we want to elongate the cervical spine, what we want to do is we want to bring our head slightly forward and lift up and back. So the chin juts forward and then you lift up and back in a diagonal to lengthen the cervical spine. So a lot of us sit down here and then we bring our chin back tucked. And sure, you might feel a little bit of stretch in here, but you still have this irregular shape in your cervical spine that leads to a lot of pressure on your neck. So the chin coming forward and then extending up into the diagonal and pulling up tall lengthens the spine in the cervical area and lengthens and makes you feel like you're elongated and taller. So this is the position of the cervical spine that we want. Shoulders are down. And you can see as I move, I'm much longer than taller than this. Right? So it's not just a pulling back scenario, there's also a kind of a diagonal scenario. That's the first thing we need to be aware of with our chin and our neck. The second thing is to work on understanding how you sit. Do you sit here naturally with a rib flare? That's my natural way of sitting. Or do you tend to round your shoulders? Or do you tend to have like a rounded pelvic bone, so an anterior pelvis tilt? What is your natural disposition? Then we want to engage our ribs with a sound, so slightly in, and we want to make sure that our pelvis is slightly tucked. And so we have this nice neutral spine. So we're not starting like this and we're not starting like this. We're starting with the neck and the ribs and then the pelvis, and everything is neutral. From there, what we want to do is as we start to arch the spine, we're going to push our legs outwards into our hands, and we're going to create glute activity to lessen the pressure off the lower back. So it's going to look like this. As I push forward, I push into my hands. They're not moving my legs, but I'm feeling a whole lot of glute activity here. I'm rolling my shoulders back, I'm keeping my head long, and I'm just mainly working this area, which is the lumbar area. And you can really feel what your spine's doing. For example, I have a little more pressure on the right side, so I'm just going to drop that a little bit, elongate it, keep my ribs in, keep my neck long, push into my hands, and I really feel this activity and a nice long spine and no dumping or hinging. Then from there, I'm going to push back into the lumbar spine, and I'm going to start the rounding by pulling up my pelvis bone in towards my belly button, in towards my ribs, making this nice cave, and then slowly curling down and falling from here. And I can feel a nice opening. So you can make that deeper by bringing your hands, if you can, onto the mat, still keep pushing into your knees and keep the elongation, and then starting from the pelvic bowl, rounding up and coming forward. And you can come deeper and deeper as you do that, making sure you note maybe a shoulder up or down, making sure you note if there's no activity or movement, and you can come deeper and deeper into rounding and feeling that out. Now, another way to do this is to sit here onto a seat place. You can have your legs a little bit further away. You can even have them straight if you want. And a great way to see where your pelvis is impacted and your ribs are impacted by your movement range is this seated movement. Make sure you pull your sit bones out from underneath you. You're going to still feel like you're pushing your knees outwards to activate your glute muscles. Hands come on your chest, and you're going to even though your sit bones are out, you're going to make sure your ribs are in and your neck is long. From there, you're going to tilt forward as far as possible until you start to round. So if you just come to here and then you start to notice that rounding, that's enough. Or you may go a little bit deeper, and I'm going to go, and you can see I'm starting to round. So from here, see how my spine is starting to change here? This movement is happening. That's as far as I can go. I can feel my glute activity, I can feel everything. And then I'm going to come up. So doing 4 of these. And then from there, what you can do is build that spinal wave in. So to build that spinal wave in, you start again here. You have your arms crossed. Make sure you change the cross. You go forward until you start to round. And when you start to round, you curl down. Right, all the way down. And then from there, you curl all the way up until your lumbar spine is on top of your pelvic bone. And then you come back up tall. And then you wave down until you start to round. And then you curl up, keeping the contraction in your glutes. And then up. And this is a great way to begin the spinal movement and the spinal feelings of undulation. And you can also swap it. So you can curl down, and then you get to here, and then you round down, and then you curl up. So you can change the direction of the movement. So eventually what happens is you start to articulate your spine, and you can start to learn how to move with awareness without hinging, getting a beautiful, strong feel of your spine. And then from here, you can start to undulate your spine and feel the articulation as you go through other movements. And you can start to feel when someone says, oh, your cervical spine is out of play, what you need to do. Oh, I'm having a hinging moment in my back. Are my glutes active? Am I going too far? Is my cervical spine in alignment? Is that why my neck is sore? So starting these small movements, even starting on the ground, if you don't have a block, legs are here, hands are here, and you're hinging forward, that's all I've got. And then I round down, come up, align my lumbar or my cervical, come up tall. Come forward, and then round down, and come up. So try this out to feel the movement and articulation of the spine and bring awareness to where things are functioning well and where things could have less tightness, more strength, more mobility, and start to build a warm-up routine around this to help your spine become more stable and more functional. Also, if you are having issues with your spine, this is a great exercise to bring awareness and do daily to build on it if you're rehabbing, or also just to build awareness if you are someone that wants to understand where they are in space and perhaps why some idiosyncrasies are happening. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe or ring your bell and comment below if you like this kind of stuff, or let me know what you're looking for. And have a great day. Namaste.